Good morning. Welcome to Antioch West Live. Good to have you today. For those of you that are just joining us, good morning. I couldn't help myself today. I had to get outside. It's maybe one of the last few days like this of the year, so I had to take advantage of it. So I am outside today, and I'm glad you're here with us wherever you're watching from, whenever you're watching. It's good to have you today. And I have two thoughts I want to share with you today. But as always, if you're a part of Antioch West, today is a small group Sunday, so encouraging you that after we're done here to make sure that you engage with your group wherever they are meeting today, whenever they're meeting. That is important. That's the full part of what we do as here on our virtual Sundays. So thank you for joining us as always. But again, make sure that we engage with our group because that's another part of this uh, journey that we're on and making sure that we're continue to stay connected and grow with one another, encourage one another, and challenge one another, and pray with one another, and all of those things that we can do when we come together. So, welcome as always for those of you that may be just joining us. It's good to have you. Thank you for joining us this morning. And I want to share a couple things with you today that, in some ways, I guess you could say that they're separate, but I think they are somewhat connected and related. And I find that with God, a lot of times, nothing is sort of separate, everything is sort of connected. So many times in my life, God seems to be working over here, and yet He's really affecting something over here. And if we're not careful, we often forget that point that everything with God is connected. And because He knows the end from the beginning, He's the master. He's the chief architect and designer of all of this stuff. He knows how it works. He knows how all the connections in our life are all interwoven. And a lot of times in our life, we don't even know how interconnected and woven our life is. And so God just sort of pulls on something in our life that seemingly feels very disconnected or very maybe just a single event, but yet that has so many different connections throughout our life. And so today, I want to talk to you about two different things that, in some ways, you could say they're separate, but in reality, I think they're connected because, again, so much of that in our life is connected. And the first thing I want to challenge those of you with today, and I think it's so important, especially in the environment and the world we live in. We are always inundated nowadays. It's amazing when you really stop for a moment and think about how often we are confronted with this sort of question. And it's not a question that is directly asked of us. It's not something that people come out and just ask, but it's something that really is driving the heart of so much that we engage with every day. And so much that we see, and especially things that are presented to us in our world, especially through media, social media, the world around us. Every single thing is sort of driving to this one point, and that is this idea of happy. What makes you happy? And so we live sort of in this environment that we should do what makes us happy. And that seems like a very logical and very reasonable suggestion. Do what makes you happy. And so that's sort of the underlying current of so much of what we are surrounded by today. Eat what makes you happy, go where what you makes you happy. If you don't like living here, do something else because you'll be happy. If you don't like this job, change jobs because you'll be happy. If you don't like these clothes, wear these clothes because you'll be happy. If you don't like this car, drive this car because you'll be happy. If you don't like this medication, try this medication because you'll be happier, right? Now, no one's actually really saying this, right? They're not they're not naive enough to come out and just simply say to you, "Hey, do this and you'll do that." It's much more subtle to that, but in reality, that's sort of what we're driving at, right? Because we're driven to address this emotional need in us to feel happy. And we deal with this every day. We are surrounded and stimulated by a world that's trying to convince us while why their product or their way or their lifestyle will make you happy. And literally thousands and millions of people every day fall for this narrative and are seeking this narrative. And here's the part about it that's probably the most deceptive. And I don't use that term lightly, and I know that may be a strong thing to use that term, but here's the most deceptive part about it. It can work. You can do something today that will make you happy. Now, I will tell you that is different for all of us today, right? That's not the same for you and for me. What may make me happy today is not what may you happy today. I mean, think about it. Let's talk for just a moment. Design your perfect day today. Now, obviously, we have limitations, right? Your perfect day may be sitting on a beach somewhere in the Caribbean. Well, that ain't happening, honey. You're stuck here with me. But think about what's your perfect day today. Now, for some of you, that might be something fall related, even though it's probably going to be 80 degrees today. It's a beautiful day, but maybe fall related. The trees, I'm looking around right now. The trees behind me, you can see a little bit. This tree right behind me, specifically, it's starting to turn a little bit. So maybe your perfect day would be to get in a car and to drive out into the country and to just take in the scenery, the changing of the leaves, the fall sort of feel, that cozy feeling you get in the fall. That you just feel warm, that warmth. You know what I mean? You're driving and you just feel that warmth, and it doesn't really match right now because it's going to be so warm. But that crisp, cool fall air. There's no humidity out here right now. It is just glorious. Feels so good. What's your perfect day? So your perfect day may be getting in the car and taking a nice long trip somewhere, driving out, maybe to an apple orchard or to a pumpkin patch, doing that. Well, I'll be honest with you. That may be your perfect day and maybe something that make you happy. Not everybody wants to do that. There's a lot of people today that what will make them happy is sitting on their couch, watching their favorite team play, hopefully winning, which will make them happy. And that's their perfect day for today. Others may be sitting on their porch reading a book. Others may be going to their favorite restaurant and getting something to eat. Or others, it's a variety of things. Maybe today, your perfect day may be doing something with your kids or your spouse or your best friend. Maybe today, what would make you happy is to binge watch your favorite television show with no distraction and your favorite snack, not having to get off the couch for any reason. That's your perfect day for today. And if I said to you, what would make you happy, you might sort of think that I'll just do this because it's going to make me happy. And here's the thing that's sort of deceptive about it. You know what? It may actually make you feel happy. Your drive out of the countryside, it's relaxing, especially if you live in areas like, I live in, and most of you probably live in, we're just surrounded by way too many people. There's way too many people everywhere you go. There's traffic and crowds, and I know some of you get energy from that. Others of us, it wears us out. It's just exhausting. But getting out the country, just getting out, you don't have to get very far, but just, maybe like an hour outside the country. Just get out there for a little bit and relax and fresh air and slow traffic, and you just breathe it in. It's just wonderful for you. That just appeals to you, makes you happy. And you would just be as wonderful as it just, wonderful it'd be. Or maybe, again, you're that person today that what would make you happy is just to curl up with a good book, snug as a bug. Just curling up with a good book. Or maybe you're that person that wants to binge watch your favorite television show, or maybe go to your favorite restaurant. And you would actually be in that moment, you might feel somewhat happy. But that in and of itself is the issue. Because we all are smart enough, on one standpoint, we all understand that happiness is really defined by a moment. And in a moment, there is a feeling, what we determine and we've described and what we've created as a feeling of happiness. I mean, think about it. And I know I lose some of you with this illustration, but bear with me. It has it's contextualized, and I think even if you're not into it, you can really understand what I mean by that. But there are men who play professional football. That's their job. They're playing professional football today, and that is become the most popular sport in our country. And so millions of people are going to watch men today play football. Here's the thing: there's 32 teams in what's called the NFL. Most of you have heard or at least know what the NFL is, the National Football League. That is the professional football league here in America. And there's 32 teams. Most major cities have a team. But right now, all the teams are playing. And there's going to be today, I think there are some teams that aren't playing today. They have what's called a bye week, which means it's their off week. They get the rest. So I think of the 32 teams today, maybe 28 are playing, something like that. I think there's usually 4 teams a week that take a week off throughout the season to let their players rest. So there's 28. Let's just say 20. It's a good round number, easy math. So it means there's 14 games today. 14. That means there's going to be 14 winners and 14 losers. Very rarely, on occasion, there's a tie, but that's very small. Maybe less than 1% of the games in the end and a tie. So there'll be 14 winners, 14 losers. That means today, 14 people are going to be happy, 14 are going to be frustrated, angry, sad. 14 groups of fans are going to be, yes, partying, wonderful. 14 sets of fans are going to be upset. Fire the coach, get rid of the quarterback, get rid of this. This is terrible. But here's the thing. At the end of the season, they have what's called the playoffs. Now, most of you would know what that means, but playoffs is simply the tournament that takes place at the end of the season when they pick the best teams based on their record throughout the year. The best teams compete to go to the Super Bowl. Now, everyone's heard of the Super Bowl, right? This is the big game at the end of the year. If you don't watch it for the game, you at least watch it for the commercials, right? Or for the snacks. So the end of the season is what's called the Super Bowl. Now, here's the thing. 32 teams start the season with a goal to make it to that game. Some have a better chance than others, but all of them deep down inside kind of have this dream, it could be our year. Now, it doesn't take long into the season to start realizing, not going to be your year. There's some teams already this year. We're 6-7 weeks into the season, and you can already tell, no, this is not going to be your year. Maybe next year, but not this year. But in the end, we're going to get all the way down to, I believe this year, it's sometime in the beginning of February. Keeps getting pushed back more and more. But sometime into February, we're going to get to this last game called the Super Bowl. Now, again, if you don't know anything about sports or football, you at least know the term Super Bowl because it's become more of a cultural event as much as it is a sporting event. I think last year, I think if I'm correct on this, I may be misquoting, but I think I'm right. I believe last year the Super Bowl was the largest television audience for any event in American history television. I believe that's the case. If it's not, it was up there. So it's become more of a cultural thing. But anyways, we play this game at the end of the year called the Super Bowl. And at the end of that game, when the final whistle blows to say the game's over, the team with the most points wins the Super Bowl. All the confetti comes down. Their families rush onto the field. They're hugging. Some of them are crying because they're fulfilling a lifelong dream to become Super Bowl champions. They are standing there triumphant. They're watching the crowd go wild. They're looking around. They're celebrating with their team because it's been a journey of months of heartache and sweat and tears and practice and pain and struggle. And it's also, for a lot of these guys, a culmination of a longer lifespan of all the way back when they were a kid, starting way at the bottom when they were starting to play football when they were 5, 6 years old, and they've had this dream to win the Super Bowl. And they're standing there on the field, and it's amazing. And everyone's just like, this is it. This is it. I've arrived. This is the moment. And then finally that culminating moment comes, and they bring out the Super Bowl trophy, and they hand it usually to the owner first, owner of the team, and the owner hands it to the coach, and the coach usually hands it to the star player, and then everybody on the team gets a chance to touch the Super Bowl trophy. Cool story, side note, years ago, back when the Ravens, who are the team here in Baltimore, when they won their Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl they won, by chance, my brother and I happened to be in a restaurant eating on the way to the hospital to visit someone who was having surgery, and we were going to go up there and visit and pray. We stopped at this restaurant to get something to eat because we are waiting for visiting hours to open back up after the surgery. And lo and behold, the Ravens owner happened to come walking into that restaurant, carrying a little tiny case. It's about this big. I'm trying to, it wasn't very big, and puts it down on the table and opens it up, and lo and behold, there was the Super Bowl trophy, the real Super Bowl trophy that they had just given the team. It was right there, 10 feet away from me. And I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing. And I just decided, I walked over to him and said, hey, can I see that? Can I? He's like, oh, yeah, take it, hold it. I'm like, I'm holding the Super Bowl trophy in my hands. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm going, this is surreal. And the other part's like, don't drop it. And what's funny, there was actually a little dent in it where one of the players had actually dropped it. There was a little dent. And the other part about it was kind of cool. It was smothered with fingerprints. It was kind of tarnished and kind of, I guess, dirty. And the owner, they said, we haven't touched it. We haven't wiped it. He said, we wanted everybody fingerprints to be on this because we wanted everyone to feel like they were connected with this win. It was a cool moment, right? And that was really neat. I was like, that was actually kind of cool. And so, standing on that field, they give that trophy to the players, and it's like, wow, this is the moment. And every guy on there, if you ask them, because they say, where are you going to go? I'm going to Disney World. Every guy on that field who's a winner is happy. Happy. They've achieved it. They've reached the pinnacle. This is their moment. They're Super Bowl champions. And maybe the next day when they wake up and go, man, wow, we're Super Bowl champs. I'm so happy. And maybe that lasts for 4, 5, 6 days, maybe a week, maybe 2, maybe a month. I don't know how long it lasts, but it only lasts for a period of time because the Super Bowl ends in February. The season begins the next July with practice. So that means you've got March, April, May, June, 4 months between when the Super Bowl ends and practice begins. 4 months. And in that 4 months, it's not just sitting around, chilling, eating ice cream, relaxing. In 4 months, you're having to do things to prepare your body for another season. So the point I'm making to all this is not to give you the inside of the NFL. The point I'm making is that moment of happiness when you get that trophy and it's like, wow, this is awesome. Within a couple of days, you're brought right back down to the same level every player in the NFL is at, no matter if they won the Super Bowl or not. Every guy is going back to start over again. And many guys only win one Super Bowl. So it means the rest of their career, whether it's one more season or 10 more seasons, or some cases longer than that, they're chasing that moment and they never get it back. Because why? It was a moment. Now here's the problem. When you chase moments in your life, when you chase that feeling of happiness, which there's nothing wrong with feeling happy. I'm not here today to say, look, we should go around and you shouldn't feel happy. Be sad, be miserable, be upset. No, my point is that when you chase happiness, you are like a dog chasing its tail. You're always so close that the closeness of it gives you the illusion that it's just outside of your reach. And so what do? You run faster, you try harder. But yet, even in your attempt to try harder and run faster, you still feel as if it's just out of your reach. Because the illusion of true happiness is that somehow you can achieve it, maintain it. And so we have this point where we start chasing these things in our life one after another. We change things or don't change things. We go places or don't go places. We do or don't do, based off this idea of what will make me happy. But to realize that that moment of happiness is only going to be that. It's only going to be a moment. It's not going to last. It's not going to sustain you. It's going to be for a moment. So here's the problem. We've accepted this. We've accepted this is the way it is. And so what have we created? We've created a world and a society and a mindset in which we are constantly chasing the next thing. We're constantly chasing that next moment of happiness. I mean, silly part, but just think about it for a moment. Social media for a moment. How much of social media is built on moments of happiness? Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again, and it's obvious. I'm not giving any brilliant information out here. Most people don't post their lows. They post their highs. Most people don't give you their their lowlights, they give you their highlights. It's like, if you see a highlight of, and I don't know why I'm using so many sports analogies today. I'm sorry for those of you that I'm losing here with that, but it just comes to mind. If you see the highlights of Michael Jordan's basketball career, Michael Jordan, I mean, even someone living under a rock has heard of Michael Jordan, okay? I haven't lost you that far. Come on, Michael Jordan, right? The greatest basketball player to ever live. When you see a highlight, go Google, just put in your YouTube search box, Michael Jordan highlights. They're not going to give you a video full of Michael Jordan missing shots. There goes Mike. There goes for three. Oh, he missed again. Oh, there's a jump shot. He missed. There's a layup. Oh, he missed. Oh, is the ball stolen from Michael Jordan? Oh, he dribbled the ball off his leg, out of bounds. Oh, Michael Jordan fell down running. That's not where they're going to see. They're going to show you all the moments where he's making every shot. He's dunking the basketball. He's doing things that are amazing. But when you realize over the totality of his career, he missed just as many shots as he made. So when you go online and people post, we're all posting what's the highlight reels. We're posting the good hair days, but no one wants to post bad hair days, because that's going to end up on some kind of fail video, and you're just going to just become part of that genre, hair fails. But here's the problem. So we're inundated by everything around us where everyone's saying, look, I'm having a good time. Look, we're here. We're at this place. We're doing this. We just went here. We just did that. And we all know that begins to have like an effect on a psychological effect, because it feels like I'm missing out. I'm not happy where I'm at. I'm not happy where I'm at. I want this. I want that. And so then we feel like, and so what does social media do? Because they want to keep you engaged. Now we created a day. Every day it appears to be this way. Maybe not exactly, but it feels that way. Every day now on social media has an associated celebration. Today's National Donut Day. Today is, Brother Day. Today's Sister Day. Today's Friend Day. Today's Tree Day. Today's Bird Day. Today's Live Camera Day. Today's Wear a Black T-Shirt Day. I mean, it's a day for everything. Why? Because we're trying to create moments. Oh, it's National Donut Day. I'll go get a donut. Woo, that's great. This is awesome. I need something to keep me going here. Today's National Coffee Day. Today's National Pepsi Day. Today's National Coke Day. Today's National Iced Tea Day. Today's National Ice Cream. I mean, like, there's always something, because we are driven to create moments, because moments create happiness, and we want to be happy. So here's the problem with all of this stuff. is it does somewhat work to a degree, but it's no different than a dog chasing its tail. It comes so close to really fulfilling you, but it always leaves you chasing the next thing. But on the other side, Jesus comes along. And notice this, in all of Scripture, Jesus never promised us happiness. He never said, I'll make you happy. But I want to be happy. I know that. But I'm not going to promise you happy. Why didn't Jesus promise us happiness? Why didn't Jesus say, you know what? Come follow me and I'll make you happy? I mean, if that was the case, then possibly we'd have a line out the door. Just people wanting to give their life to God because Jesus is going to make you happy. And I will tell you this. If you ever tell someone, follow Jesus because he will make you happy, you're not telling them the story. Because Jesus is not trying to make you happy. Now, are you saying to me that following Jesus make you sad? No, because Jesus is not about happy or sad. He doesn't live in the emotional plane of life where he's trying to tap into your emotions. Because it's funny about happiness, and this is what's amazing, is what makes you happy today may not make you happy tomorrow. Think about just, okay, how old are you right now? Let's say you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, however old you are. You're somewhere in that range, right? Think about what made you happy 10 years ago. Let's say you're 40 years old today. Let's just use a kind of in the middle of the road here, 40 years old. If you're 40 today, what makes you happy at 40? Did that same thing make you happy at 5? I mean, I've raised 3 kids so far. They're teenagers now. We've gotten past that age. We're in a new age. Lord have mercy. But we at least got past that case. I will tell you, if you go up to a 5-year-old and you ask them what will make them happy, you are going to have some crazy responses. Because to a 5-year-old, the stuff that makes them happy, and what's crazy about it is, for a 5-year-old, a lot of times what makes them happy may not be what's best for them. Because let's be honest, what makes a 5-year-old happy is a giant stack of candy or ice cream or their favorite treat. That vegetable plate you want to give them, that you know it's healthy for them, does not make them happy. So when you're parenting, are you trying to make your child happy? Now, do you want your child to be sad? No, you don't want your child to be sad. Most parents want the best for their child. But best for your child as a parent is not always defined by what makes them happy. I mean, my son especially, because he's the youngest of the group, he's almost 13. But right now, I mean, it seems like every day Noah has something he's thinks is going to make him happy. Dad, I need to get this. I need this. Well, no, I don't think we need that right now. Let's hold off. Next day, Dad, I need this. This is something I really need. Well, Noah, let's hold off. Dad. I mean, and he'll go and he'll do the research, right? He'll go online and my man's going to break it down. He's going to go on Google. He's going to tell you where you can get it, where it's in stock, the price, the sale price. I mean, man, this is like, Dad, this is it. I'm like, no, Noah, I don't know, man. I don't think we need that right now. But Dad. And then he doesn't give up. He's like, he's going to find it. I don't blame him for that. He's a kid. But, let's be honest. How many, and we've all been there on both sides, but it hurts more as a parent. How many of us went into your child's bedroom a few days after Christmas or the end of January, and all those toys that you ran around town, You stayed up to 3 in the morning on Black Friday to make sure you got that special sale and you got that gift and you wrapped it up. And when they opened it, oh my goodness, this is the greatest gift ever. This is awesome. I can't believe I got this. This is the best Christmas I've ever had in my entire life. This was the greatest moment ever. I can't. Oh, this is awesome. And you go in to their bedroom a month later and you see that toy sitting over in the corner. Has it been touched? Has it been played with? Hey, let's play with that. I don't know. Hey, let's go do that. Well, you just got it. Well, I know, but I don't know. I don't really. Wait a minute. A month ago, this was the greatest moment of your entire life. This made you happy. Why? They're on to something else. Now, here's the problem with this. We get all this from a natural intellectual side when we're dealing with other people. When it comes to us, we forget this stuff because we want God to do the same thing to us. God, do what makes me happy. God's like, hold on. I mean, come to make you happy. Because what did Jesus really come to give us? He came to give us peace. And I will find what gives me peace doesn't always make me happy. And a lot of times, what makes me happy doesn't give me peace. Because peace and happiness are not dependent upon one another. They're separate. Now, there are times what gives me peace does make me happy. But not everything that makes me happy gives me peace. And I know in my life, the most important thing, one of the most important things in my entire life is peace. Can't live without it. I can't live. And peace is one of those things you can't fake. You either have it or you don't. And peace is one of those things that can't come from something external. There's only one true source of peace. The only true sustainable source of peace is the Prince of Peace, and that's Jesus Christ. Now, here's the problem. We sometimes mistake things for peace. For example, you may get up today and may have no issues in your life. You may have nothing going on right now in your life. Today may be one of those rare days you get where just nothing happens and it's just a normal day. And you could mistakenly assume that lack of struggle and lack of stress and lack of problems connotates you have peace, but you don't have peace. How do I know if I truly have peace? I don't know if I have peace until I'm put in a situation to test my peace. For example, everybody can say they have peace when it's one of these days. I mean, come on. I mean, who? Like literally. I mean, there is one tiny, I mean, literally a speck right over my head of a cloud. And outside of that, there is not one cloud. I'm looking around. The tops of the trees are just starting to turn a little bit of a nice dark red and orange mixed in, as if flames are just starting to touch the top of the tree and set it on fire. The fall colors are coming. I hear birds chirping in the background. I mean, there is actually, a few minutes ago, there were some deer over here to my left. I believe we now have a groundhog that runs around back here. I mean, it's a beautiful, peaceful day. I can actually see kind of over there about 150, 200 feet. There's my neighbors are out walking because who wouldn't want to be out here today? Now, they're probably wondering, what's this guy doing with a camera talking to himself at the back of his house? Looking a little weird. I get that. But by this point, what it is. But right now, standing out here, I could go, man, I feel this is peaceful. That's what we say, right? On a day like today, we say, wow, that's peaceful. But there's difference between something that's peaceful and something that that is peace. They're not really the same. Like, for example, you have certain music, some soft, quiet, relaxing music. You turn it on, just like, oh. And what do we say? Boy, that music's so peaceful. You're sitting down by a stream, hearing the water trickle by. You hear the small chirps of the birds, the little rustle of the wind in the trees, and you go, wow, this is peaceful. 2 years ago, my wife and I, not this summer, but summer before that, my wife and I and my kids got a chance to go out to visit some friends of ours in Montana, and he has horses. And I've already told this story. I don't want to tell it again, but I've never been around horses. Never, horses and me would never. I never touched a horse. Lo and behold, he got us up on a horse, taught us how to ride. He's like, "Look, let's go take you on a trail ride." Now, this is Montana. This is not Maryland. A trail ride in Montana is not the same as a trail ride in Maryland. And a trail ride in Maryland, okay, you're riding around a little bit. In Montana, this was a trail that took you through a canyon, over creeks, through the mountains. I mean, this was a legit 4 or 5 mile trail. But I will tell you, on that horse that day, with these majestic cliffs to the side and the tall trees and the river that was flowing down below us and the rocks and the light and the I mean, it was one of those moments in your life you just stop and go, please don't let this end. It was breathtaking. And in that moment, man, it was peaceful. I mean, there was no, you didn't even, there was no care in the world at that moment. You're on the back of that horse. You're walking through this path. The scenery was just everywhere you looked. It was just something else to just be in awe of. Whether it was the close cliffs with these jagged peaks that you just imagine what beauty and architect to create that such amazing vista, or looking far out in the distance at the peaks of the Rockies that you could see that were miles away, that just the top of those mountains had just still the remnants of the winter snow cap still left on them. The tall trees, the tall fir trees that seemed to tower 70, 80 feet above your head. I mean, it was one of those moments that and it was peaceful. It was peaceful. But it didn't mean we had peace. Because in that moment, it would seem like everybody would feel that was peaceful. I mean, who wouldn't think that was peaceful? But it doesn't mean we had peace. Because you see, peace is only determined not by the moment of no issue. Peace is really determined, can you stand in a storm and yet feel at peace? Can you face down the questions and the stresses and the struggles and the uncertainties of a life with a true sense inside that everything's okay because God's got this? You have peace. And when those moments and those questions and those struggles and that fear starts to nag at you and those questions start to build in you and that little voice starts to whisper in your ear and you start to feel the rise of that fear, the emotion of sadness, the peace goes, no, 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 no. I got this. Peace. In fact, the Bible goes as far as to say that God will give us peace that surpasseth, that's the fancy King James way of saying, is superior to. God will give us peace that is superior to understanding. And that means there are still things in my life that don't make sense, but I got peace over them. There's things in my life, literally, as of right of this moment, 9:40 on Sunday morning, October the 13th, that I don't understand, but I've got peace. I don't know why God's allowing certain things in my life. I don't know why God's choosing certain paths for my life, but in those things I have peace. Not because I'm happy, not because everything in my life is going according to my plan and I like the things, but I have peace. So you and I have a choice today. What are we going to pursue? Are we going to pursue happiness? Or are we going to pursue peace? Because here's the thing. Happiness is a moment. But happiness is just that. It's a moment. Having to proceed by something else that's going to make you happy. Today, going off on that, what's your perfect day? Whether it's a trip out in the country, sitting there on your couch watching football, reading your favorite book, go to your favorite restaurant, shopping at your favorite store. Those are moments. But then the question is, what's next? What will make you happy tonight? What about tomorrow? What's going to make you happy? A lot of us, that's the problem, right? That's why we have that working for the weekend, man. TGIF. Why? Because finally I get to do something that makes me happy. I've been working all week. I've been working, and I finally get to do something that's going to make me happy over the weekend. And then Sunday comes along, and we know we can sense the weekend's coming to an end. Like I get all the happiness squeezed out of it like a tube of toothpaste because Monday's coming, and I know I'm going to walk into work Monday, and I'm going to be dealt with another week of this. And so what do? We become addicted to the weekend. Work on Monday through Friday to parties, Friday night through Saturday, Sunday, so I can do this over again. And that's the cycle of life because we want what makes us happy. You can pursue that. But I will tell you, you're no different than a dog chasing its tail. You will constantly be searching for that next thing and feeling like you're so close, but yet really being so far away because you're never going to truly achieve it. And if you do happen to fall for the illusion that you've achieved it and you're standing there with the Super Bowl trophy and you're going, look, we won. Look, we've created it. It is but that. It's a moment. Because the next season's about to start in just a couple of months. You're going to have to start this over again. And guess what? More than likely, statistically, you're not going to be holding that Super Bowl trophy at the end of next season. So you're going to be back to frustration, disappointment. And maybe you wish for the days when I did hold that trophy, but reality that doesn't always come back. But see, if you stop living your life to pursue those moments and you really start pursuing peace, peace is circumstance proof. Peace is not based on circumstance. I don't need my circumstances to be perfect to have peace. And here's the problem. Here's the cool part about peace. Peace also produces contentment. I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Dave Ramsey, who's many of you may know him, may know of him, but if you don't know, Dave Ramsey is a Christian-based financial advisor, really financial life advisor, but finance is where he got his name. He has a YouTube channel. He's a national syndicated radio show with millions of listeners. You can find him online. Just Google Dave Ramsey. And so Dave Ramsey is and everything he does is biblical principles. And he does it wonderfully. He does a great job at sort of presenting it, not in an overt religious way. He does it in a great way of saying, look, these are the principles of the Bible. I've practiced them in my own life. They work. He's very successful, and he credits all of those successes to following these biblical patterns for how you should live your life. And specifically in all of this is money. And he made a statement one day, and I was watching this, and he made a statement one day, and I thought it was really impactful for me personally. He goes, you know what your most powerful wealth building tool in your life is? Now, he's a financial guy, right? Most powerful building wealth tool in your life. Now think about, if I ask you that question, what's the most powerful wealth building tool? Most of us are going to go with, well, I got to be a better job, make more money, better investments. I need to go do this and do that. Win the lottery. All these things we think are the things that are necessary for us to build. And I'm not talking about, this is not a money thing. I'm just using it as an example to build wealth, to get more money so we can feel more financially secure, bigger bank account, less stress that we're going to get that one bill in the mail we can't pay. So we think it's because we don't make enough money. And Dave Ramsey said this, and I'll never forget this. It just struck me, and I've heard him say it now numerous times, but the first time he said it, I had never heard anyone say it this way, and it really just impacted me. He said this, your biggest wealth building tool that you have is contentment. I was like, wow. It's not the stock market. It's not a 401k. It's not a better job that pays you more. He said, no, the greatest wealth building tool you have is contentment. And he said, if you're not content, you will never have enough money. If you're not content, you're always going to be spending more than you bring in because you're using money as a way to bring yourself satisfaction and contentment because your contentment comes from what you have, not from what's inside of you and who you are. And that was like, man, boy, that's powerful. But I will tell you, I'll take it a step back. You can't have contentment without peace. People who don't have peace cannot be content. You cannot be content without peace. But peace brings contentment. And contentment changes everything. Contentment has you playing a different set of playing by a different set of rules. It playing the game differently. Everyone's over here chasing this, but contentment says, I'm good right here. Not that you become passive, not that you become somebody who's laissez-faire, just, well, I'm just living life, I'm chill, I'm just cool, man, I'm chill. I'm just gonna just take it as I go. I'm just, like, get the Hawaiian, hey, yo, bro, hang it loose, man. I'm just chilling with life. I'm just content. That's not what contentment means. It doesn't mean just to be so, so just lethargic in life that you just become a bump on a log because, hey, I'm content. That's not what contentment is. Contentment is knowing that who you are is not what defined by anything external. It's coming from inside. That's why Jesus said, I've come to bring you peace. And then later on, the Bible talks about contentment. True contentment. I will say, we live in a world that lacks peace. And because we live in a world that lacks peace, we live in a world where there is no contentment. But yet, we're sold on the idea that this next thing will make you content. Retire and you'll be content. I read this the other day. I thought it was staggering. In England, I don't know if it's in America. I would guess it's maybe similar, but this was an English survey. In the UK, they did a survey. What was the average amount of time that workers were drawing on their pension? So this is after the age of 65. What was the average amount of time that they were drawing from their pension? What would you think it'd be? You retire at 65, that was the age. So I believe whatever statistic they were using, it was coming from particular jobs where you retire. What was the average amount of time people were drawing from their pension? My initial guess was maybe 20 years. 8. That's the average. The average time, according to this study, of time where people were drawing from pension was 8 years. And this is what they said. When people stop finding a reason to get up in the morning, they stop living. That wasn't about God. It wasn't anybody saying you need God. This was just a study that was done, void of, it wasn't a spiritual study, religious study, Bible study. It was just simply a study done on people's behavior. And they say when you stop having a reason to get up in the morning, people die. 8 years. People work their entire life, and then within 8 years of retiring, they're dead. You can say, well, that's just because they get tired and they give up. Wow. I heard Willie Nelson one time, they said to him, why do you keep touring so much? I think he was in his 80s at the time. He was still touring and playing shows. And he said this, he said, if I sit down, I go down. So he kept going. Now, this is not turning into a health show. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that most of us, that seems like a dream. Man, I can't wait till I retire so I can just chill. Yet we get there, and a lot of people that end up retiring end up going back to work. I know 3 people just right now, just within the last year or two, who retired, and now they're already back to work. They retired. They could literally had enough. They were making enough on their retirement check. They could have never worked another day in their life, and they're already back to work. It's something built in us naturally. That's a natural thing we have built into us. My point is this. We're chasing things that if we got them, is it really going to be the answer? Is it really going to bring you contentment? Okay, you know what? I don't like where I'm living. I need a better house. I need a better house. This house is too small. It's in the wrong location. Okay, maybe there are some real circumstances. Some people live in areas that may be a little dangerous. Maybe it's not the best environment. Maybe the kids don't go to the best school because of the area. So I moved to a different area. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. That new car smell, man, you get that car, whether it's new or new to you, man, that new car feeling. It feels great. Give that car a year. It becomes just a car. I don't care how fancy the car is, how nice it is. It's just a car. It's an A to B transportation. Whether it has all the bells and whistles and all the gadgets, whether it goes fast or slow, it's an A to B transportation. You and your fancy car and someone else and their rust bucket are going to get to the place usually about the same time. Now, are these things wrong? Should we not pursue these things? I'm not saying they're wrong in itself, but they don't fulfill what we are trying to fulfill, because the only person that truly, only thing that can pursue and fill this in us is Jesus Christ. The only thing that can bring you peace is Jesus. The only thing that can bring contentment in your life is Jesus. And I know it sounds like, well, that's just silly. It's not silly. It's proven. It works. And it's the only answer. There's a song that says, Jesus is the answer for the world today. Above him, there's no other. Jesus is the way. He's still the way. He was the way. He is the way. And he'll always be the way. This is not a religious sales pitch to tell you. I'm telling us, when you have Jesus, you get to play by a whole different set of rules and ideas. Everybody else is over there chasing their tail, but you're content where you are because you know Jesus makes the difference. He's your peace. Last night, there was a dear friend of ours that was in a very serious situation. Very serious situation. And my wife and I were on the phone with them. This was a dire situation. And in this situation they were in, they were surrounded by other people that were in similar situation that they are. And this is what they said to us on the phone. They said, I'm just so thankful that I'm sitting here in this situation. That's just one of those places and areas and things you don't want to be. This is not a good plot. This was a place you don't want to be. You don't want to be spending your Saturday night here. Not the place. And this is where their response. They said, I'm so thankful tonight because I'm sitting here in the midst of all this, but yet I have peace because Jesus is right here with me. And they said, you know what's so hurting me right now is I'm looking around at all these people that are in the same situation I'm in, and I could tell they don't have peace. Are they bad people? No. Something wrong with them? No. They've bought the lie. That life, circumstances, money, fame, success, pleasure brings you happiness, which therefore happiness equates peace. And therefore, if I have all those things and I'm happy and I'm at peace, then I'll be content. And really, it's not that case at all. Peace oftentimes bypasses happiness. And you can have happiness in your peace, but oftentimes they're not related. And a lot of times you can have peace and not be really, truly happy. Last night, this person wasn't necessarily happy. They weren't happy at all, but they had peace. So what are you pursuing today? Are you truly pursuing happiness? Maybe you've dressed it up and you don't call it that way. I'm not really pursuing happiness. I'm really pursuing God's plan. But really what you're telling me is you're pursuing God's plan because you think God has become your path to happiness. God's going to be your path to blessing. He's going to give you the better car, the better house, the better wife, the better husband, the better this, the better that. And you're going to get those things. But I'll tell you what, God's not trying to get you happy. God's trying to bring you to a place of peace. And in that peace, you can have contentment. This is the problem sometimes we struggle with because it just doesn't add up. We feel the struggle inside because our flesh wants to be happy, but our heart wants to be at peace. We don't like to do things that we don't enjoy, we don't like because we want to be happy. But we often find in life the things that are the best for us don't always feel good. Whether it's exercising or eating right or going to this or doing that or taking care of ourselves or other things, or even for a child going to school. 90% of kids probably hate going to school, but we tell them to go because we know it's what's best for them. So you have a choice today. Pursue happiness, pursue peace. But only one will be a path to contentment. Only one will bring total, true satisfaction. And that's not happiness, it's peace. But not what the peace that's offered to us as the world, because that's just happiness dressed up with another word. True peace that only comes through and by Jesus Christ. I challenge you with that today in Jesus' name. God bless you. Thank you for joining me today. It's been such an honor to have you with us. If you're a part of Antioch West, don't forget small groups following today. I hope you take this with you and unpack it, challenge yourself with it, challenge the group with it, so that we can continue to grow in Jesus Christ as disciples of Jesus Christ as we continue to walk with him. God bless you. Love all of you. Thank you for joining us. If you are a part of Antioch West, we are back at Maritime next Sunday, 10 a.m. In person. So hope to see all of you there. Wednesday night, we have an equipping session at 7. Look for the link being sent out in an email. God bless you. Love all of you. I hope you have a wonderful and peaceful day. Even if you don't get to do something that makes you happy, I pray that you have peace today. In Jesus' name, God bless you.